The tragic news that 2 children have died in Vredefort in the Free State this week, apparently also after eating food purchased at a local tuck shop. So this is really worrying, coming on the back of the deaths of 5 children in Gauteng recently after consuming possibly contaminated food. That matter is still under investigation. Well, the Small Business Development Department in the Free State has now issued a warning about the rise in the sale of illicit and expired food, much of it driven by economic desperation. And I'm joined now by MEC Thabo Meeko. MEC, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, I wonder if you could just give us more details about the news of these 2 children who've died this week in Vredefort. What do you believe happened?
Well, it's not our belief, especially the state, but we did receive a briefing. Part of that briefing came from the municipality through the mayor, but also immediately we dispatched our consumer protection services, who, at all conditions are undertaking this periodic assessment of these challenges, because it's not the first one. People complain, people have been talking to the department. So yes, it's true. The case of inquest has been opened, and I think that we will await that to make a determination whether these allegations are proven to be right, that indeed these kids passed as a result of what they consumed from this local tech shop.
Tell us a little bit more about these children. How old were they? What are they believed to have purchased and eaten? And exactly what happened to these little ones?
Well, the young kids who are at the level of the primary school, very sad indeed to lose life at that stage of development. Even yesterday, the executive committee of the province premier did express an instruction that all MECs who are responsible for this needs to visit the area so that we can also engage our people, talk to them, including to explain our plans. We have a focused plan that is going to attend to the challenges of the township economy, which will be focusing on the townships. But that plan is inspired by the legislation, the bill which we are waiting to be finalized. We talked to the issues of the local trade, issues of the observance of the health standards, and all related things with regard to the complaints that we've been receiving. And many of the cases that are now in the case of the NPA to prosecute, which through our consumer protection services have been able to discover them and refer to them. So we're saying this thing is a little bit prevalent, but we're on top of it to finally put a nail to it.
So you said you've dispatched your consumer protection services after a series of complaints. So what exactly have they found? Well,
the preliminary report from them is that indeed there is existence of such tech shops, and indeed there are challenges of the observance with health standards, as well. The issue of the status of the people who are operating this tech shop also came up, and many other issues which I think that we will be very careful about them up until those investigations are concluded.
So my understanding, and this is probably where you can guide us, is that when it comes to monitoring people who sell food, local small businesses, yes, there's a role for health inspectors to play, but a lot of it falls under the bylaws of a local municipality. To your knowledge, is that correct? And have inspections not been done at all up until this point?
Role to play as a province, municipalities as well needs to come on board. But within the context of intergovernmental relations, because as well our courts need to play a particular role, which I think has got to be upscaled. Without that relationship, it will not be easy to regulate as well as to observe all these requirements of the township economy. It is largely informal. And that's why there's prevalence of many of these things. So we need to strengthen that relationship. But also our belief is that this localization and transformation bill, which we are saying we are approaching its finality, will strengthen both the relationship but also all these requirements which needs to be met for the operations in the township economy.
Do you really need a bill, though, if people aren't doing the basics of inspecting on a regular basis?
Well, the bill needs to strengthen the capacity of the state to respond decisively on these issues. There are cracks within the current law because we can only inspect, we can only refer cases. We must also attend to the issues of, the rights of the people to operate some of these things. Because remember, if somebody does not feel a right towards certain laws, surely important areas of health standard will not be observed. Now, you need municipality to strengthen and enforce their bylaws. You also need the province to be empowered, reinforce municipality through a legislative framework. Otherwise, if we do them just on the basis of common sense, on the basis of our understanding that they are wrong, it becomes difficult to decisively resolve these challenges.
I hear you, but are inspections, have they been happening on a regular basis?
As I said, we've got many cases that we have undertaken. We have arrested many people. We picked up many who have been manufacturing their own illicit goods, like alcohol and many. Majority of those cases are referred, and there is some snail pace in resolving them. And that's why people feel inspired to continue to operate under those conditions. So the regulations, very key, but also post-regulations. Municipality needs to come on board as well as bylaws, act on them, but also the final arbiter being our courts to also help us that these issues must be resolved timelessly.
Is it getting worse because people are so desperate for a bargain in these tough economic times?
Look, we don't want to say that. It is as if we're justifying.
No, but what I'm saying is have the complaints
the
increased? That's what I want to know.
Yes, but even, not only complaints, we do our periodic operations and we do discover these cases. And as I said, strengthen intergovernment relations so that municipalities are on board and they are also able to play their part in a manner that reinforces what provinces are doing, as well as, in the context of intergovernmental relations, we're able to explain the context of these things. And that context is that they are continuing despite the work of inspection. And then we also need that our courts needs to play that important role.
How soon will you know if the death of these 2 primary school children in Vredefort this week is definitely linked to the consumption of food at that shop? It's a suspicion at this stage. When will you get results?
Well, you would know that that is the process of the police in terms of those investigations. And we can't tell for sure how long does it take, but it is our hope that it must be resolved the soonest so that the families can find peace and the community can be put at ease about this thing, lest that we are going to deal with yet another problem which is sparked by the prevalence of these incidences in our communities.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. Much appreciated. That's the Free State MEC in the Department of Economics, Small Business Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, MEC Thabo Meeko, telling us that the inquest is underway. No definitive link between these deaths in Vredefort and food being consumed from a spaza shop, but the concern is there.